Everybody has their calculator nearby? Give me a yes or a no to that, please. Everybody has a calculator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So I'm going to get started with the presentation. And as we go through, I'm going to be asking you to use your calculator to come up with your answers. All right? All right, so let's get started. This is, like I said, financial applications, which is all about money. All of you are going to have to make money decisions in the future. So it's important that you understand how this works. And this first class is on something called simple interest. We're going to do something called compound interest in another class, but today's class is simple interest. And by the way, I'm not doing these classes every day with you because I have another class with my other grade 12 class. So I'm doing it every other day. So you are today, and then again, I'll have a class with you on Thursday, and I'll send out an invitation to you later on. But this is not going to be an everyday thing. I'm going to have an assignment for you after we're finished. I'm going to ask you to work on the assignment between today and tomorrow, and then we'll have our next session on Thursday. Okay? All right, so let's get some definitions out of the way. If you put money in the bank, in fact, you know what, let me go back before I even show you that screen. If you put money in the bank, if you have an account at the bank, and I'm sure if you don't have one, your parents must have an account at the bank. Can anybody tell me why you would want to put your money in the bank and not keep it under the mattress? Give me one reason, any reason that you can think of. Why not just keep it in your drawer at home or leave it under the mattress?
It's not secure.
Okay, that's one good reason. Yeah. Anything else?
To keep it safe.
Good. Let's sure. Just like what the person before you said, secure. So keep it safe, and also because what else? There's another very good reason that people put money in the bank.
So you can keep track of how much you have.
That's true too. You could do that under the mattress though, but there's another. And in fact, it's somebody's probably going to say it shortly. See this word I'm pointing to here? Interest. What is interest? Can you tell me what you understand interest to be? Anybody, talk to me. What's interest? If I go to the bank and I get interest, what does that mean?
You get more money.
On top of your money?
Yeah.
All right. So how does the bank figure out how much interest they're supposed to pay you? If I go to the bank tomorrow and I put money in the bank, how are they going to know how much interest and you're right, by the way, interest is more money that they put on your money. How is the bank going to calculate how much money they're supposed to give you because you have your money in the bank? What's the calculation? What are the things that are going to determine that? What do you think?
Percentage.
Okay, so there's an interest rate. Perfect. What else? There are two other main things that are going to determine how much money they're going to pay you. So the interest rate is one. So I didn't go back to this. I didn't go to that slide yet because the answer is on the slide I just had on the screen. What other things are they going to use to calculate how much interest? So let's say it was Amari, all right? I think I saw Amari in the room. If it was Amari, let me just make sure I have Amari in the room. Yeah, Amari is there. All right. So Amari, let's say it was you and you put money in the bank. How are they going to calculate how much money you should get? Apart from the interest rate. How do they calculate interest? What do you think?
But I don't know.
All right. Mohammed, what do you think?
I'm not sure either.
No?
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, shouldn't it also have something to do with how much money you put into the bank? Don't you think that would make a big difference? So if Amari put more money than Mohammed or Liam or anybody else, shouldn't they get more interest because they have more money in the bank? Doesn't that make sense? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. There's one other thing that's going to determine how much money each person gets when they put money in the bank. So there's the interest rate, there is how much money they're putting in, and there's one other thing. What do you think, Natasha? What do you think is that other thing that they have to use to figure out how much to pay you in interest?
I don't know.
No? Caitlin, unmute for me, please, and tell me what you think. And Simran, unmute for me. All the people who are muted, I want to make sure you're all able to.
They're not even on it.
What's that?
I think what they would use is their income from their jobs.
Not so much the income. Not so much the income. So I'll show you what the next thing is that they use. Let me minimize this. So on this screen, you're going to see all of the things that the banks are going to use to determine it. It's the interest rate, right? That's the thing I'm pointing to here. It's the principal, the amount of money that you put in. But there's a third thing, and that's the amount of time. So in other words, the longer you have your money in the bank, is the more interest you're going to earn. So interest, by definition, is the amount of money that you're going to be paid by a bank based on, like I just said, those three things. And I'm going to show you the formula in a second. But you have to, excuse me, you have to understand which of the two types of interest you're being paid, whether it's simple interest or compound interest. Right now, today, I'm going to focus only on simple interest. So interest is the amount of money that you're paid if you put money in the bank, but it's also the amount of money you have to pay if you borrow money from the bank. Let me make sure you understand something. You see all the money that you put in the bank when you're saving money? That's the same amount, that's the same money that the bank is going to turn around and lend to other people, right? They don't have money of their own. They really basically use your money that you put in the bank to lend to other people. So how do you think they make money if they're doing that? If they're going to take your money and have to be paying you interest and then turn around and lend it to other people, how do you think they're going to make money? Tell me what you think is going to make, tell me how you think they're going to make money from doing that. Because they're paying you for holding on to your money.
Taking money from people that aren't paying back loans?
No, but I'm saying, okay, let's put it this way. Let's say that you put your money in the bank and you're getting interest at, let's just say 2%. Let's just use that as an example. And we'll make sure, and we'll understand what that looks like in a calculation in a minute. If they're taking your money and paying you 2%, when they lend that money to somebody else, you think they're going to charge that person 2% as well? What do you think? Because remember, this is how they're going to make money now. So are you going to charge the person the same 2% that they're paying you? Would that make sense? Should it be a higher rate or a lower rate? What do you think?
Higher rate.
Exactly. That's exactly how banks make money. So banks are making money by basically borrowing from you, right? When you put your money in the bank, you're lending the bank your money, and then they take that money and lend to other people and charge them a higher interest rate than what they're paying you. Now, banks do make money from other things as well. Do you know other things that banks make money from? Since we're talking finance, let's just go a little bit deeper into it. How else so that's one way that banks make money, right? They take it from you as the person who is depositing money and they're paying you interest. Okay, so they're being fair to you. They have your money, so they're going to pay you interest. But they take that same money and turn around and lend it to other people so they can buy cars and buy homes and so on. But they charge the people who are borrowing money from them at a higher rate than what they're paying you for putting your money in the bank. But how else are banks making money? Does anybody know how banks make money apart from that way? Nobody knows how banks make money. So I do know that banks are very profitable in this country. In fact, in almost every country that banks operate, they make a ton of money. How else do they make money apart from what I just told you?
Service fees.
There you go. Excellent. Let me just let this person in here. Yeah, service fees. That's exactly right. So when you use your debit card or use your credit card or you go to a cash machine or anything like that, all of those they can charge fees on them and they can make money that way. So I just thought I'd mention that since we're talking finance, I want you to understand that. All right, so let's move on. So we know what the definitions of these strings are. There is interest, that's the amount of money that either the bank is paying you for borrowing your money, or when the banks lend your money to other people, they charge interest on that. Interest rate is a percentage. It's a number that they use to calculate how much interest to charge or how much interest to pay. The principal, I haven't talked about principal yet. The principal is the amount of money that you're either borrowing or investing. So when you start off your account and you put money into that account, the money that you start off with is the principal. Or when you borrow money, the amount of money that you borrow, that's your principal. Whatever the starting amount is, that's your principal. And simple interest, which is what we're going to be focusing on today, is interest which is calculated only on the original principal. All right, now here comes the formula. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you go back?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, for interest, how you said like about the bank using your money. Like, why
Yes.
would they want to give your money to others? I don't get it.
Okay, so let me show you, let me explain that to you then. I'm glad you asked. Let's say you're the bank. Mohammed, you're the bank, right? Yes?
Yes.
And somebody came and brought money to you and said,
Okay.
I'm going to let you hold on to my money for a while. Let's say that was Elijah. Elijah brought some money, brought $100 to you and said, hold on to this for me. And since you're holding my money, you have to pay me interest. You're going to pay me 1%, let's say 10% interest.
Okay.
So you have to pay him back 10% of that $100, which is $10. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, good. So what if you took that same $100 that he just gave you, right, and
Right.
loan that money now to Caitlin? But you say to Caitlin, okay, Caitlin, you can borrow this money and go and buy a car, or I mean, you can't buy a car for $100, but I'm just using that as an example. You can borrow this money from me as the bank, and I'm going to charge you 20% interest. So that means that she's going to have to pay you back the $100 plus another $20 now on what she borrowed. So that means that you have to pay Elijah $10, but you're going to earn $20 from the loan that you're giving to Caitlin. So at the end of the day, you end up with profit of $10. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so that's how banks work. So I'm going to move on now. Is that okay now, Mohammed?
Yeah.
All right, so how do we calculate this thing called interest? I said to you, there are three things that we have to bring into the mix. So the formula is the one I'm showing you on the screen here. It says that the interest is equal to the principal, the amount I started off with, times the rate, which is the interest rate. So that's the amount of money, because that's one of the things we said would determine how much interest you're paid. The principal, the rate, interest rate expressed as a percentage, and the time. How long is the money in the bank? So we're going to use these initials here. I is going to be the amount of interest, P is going to be for principal, R is going to be for the rate of interest, and T is going to be for time expressed in years. Okay, now, one of the things we're going to have to make sure we also understand is that sometimes you don't put your money in the bank for, let's say, a whole year or for 2 years or 3 years, but put your money in the bank for a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a couple of days. That would mean that we have to pay attention to this little chart I have here. Number of months in a year is 12, number of weeks in a year is 52, number of days in a year is 365. This is going to come up in some of our calculations in a few minutes. But the general formula is the one that you see me have on the screen here that I'm now circling, that the interest is equal to the principal times the rate times the time. Now make sure you have your calculators handy because we're going to do a calculation on the next screen. This says, calculate the interest earned for each of the following investments. You're putting in $2,500 at an 8% interest rate. By the way, nobody's getting 8% right now. The rates of interest in the banks currently are much, much lower than that. And the time is going to be 3 years. So let me take you back a little bit here. Here's my formula. I is equal to P times R times T. So here's my P, here's my R, here's my T. The only thing you have to pay attention to is that this R is in percentage, but the formula has to be in decimals. Can somebody tell me how to convert this 8% here to a decimal? What is that as a decimal? But that's what I'm going to put into the formula. How do I say it again?
I said 0.08.
Perfect. So here's what my formula is going to look like. The 2,500 times exactly what you just said, Mohammed, 0.08 times 3. That's my principal, my rate, and my time. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to ask one of you, Simran, run that through your calculator and tell me what your answer is.
600.
Was that Simran? That didn't sound like Simran. Simran, are you there?
Yeah,
Okay, what's your answer? I heard somebody else, but I need your answer.
I got 600 too.
Okay, good. So there you go, $600. Let's look at the next one. Principal of 1,500, the rate is 10%, but this time the time is not in years. The formula that I showed you on the previous page has to be in years. So we have to make an adjustment because this time is in months. So I'm gonna take the 1,500. Let me just let this person in, Zaid. I'm gonna take the 1,500. I'm going to take to 10%. I'm going to take the 6, but I have to adjust the 6. And here's how I'm going to adjust the 6. I'm going to take that 6 and divide it by the number of months in the year, because this is in months. So on the previous screen, I showed you that there are 12 months in a year. I'm going to take my 1500, multiply it by 0.1, because that's my 10% as a decimal. Then multiply that by 6 divided by the number of months in a year, which is 12. Okay? Yes. What's that?
Can I answer?
Go ahead.
75.
Excellent. Who was that, by the way?
Tyrell.
Excellent. Good. So there you go. So if I put $1,500 in the bank and I had it for 10% for 6 months, I'd get a interest of $75. Now, let me just be clear, and I've said this before, these kind of interest rates that we're using now are higher than you'd get in the bank these days, because the bank's interest rates are very, very low because of how the economy is. But I just thought I'd mention that. But that's still the way the calculation is done for simple interest. We're going to move on. All right. This is 5,000 principal, 7.5% for 90, not years, but days. So what should my formula look like this time? Let me take you back a second to what we did before. When it was months, divided the 6 by 12. Yes, what do you, go ahead.
How do you, so what, you know how it's like 0.0, like something?
Yeah.
How would you do it for the 7.5?
Okay, good question. When I was in elementary school, what we call primary school in Jamaica, we had a very simple way to do it. You see what you have here, 7.5? Move the decimal point 2 places to the left. Right? And anywhere you have a space, you put a 0. So if I move it 1 place to the left, it's going to be 0.75. Put another place, it's going to be 0.075. So that is what that would be in a decimal.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, what about the 90? What are you going to do with that? All right.
Are you dividing it by
what?
Wait, that's
Days.
3 months, right?
Yeah, but it's in days. So let's just deal with it as days.
Okay.
I heard somebody just say it a while ago. I'll show you. Divided by 365. All right, because there are 365 days in the year. So the 5,000 is there. The 0.075, we just talked about that, how to convert it into a decimal. And then we have the 90 days over the number of days in a year, which is 365. All right, so Liam, your time. Get your calculator out. Work that out for me, please. Everybody should have their calculator nearby. When you have your answer, let me know.
$92.5.
Okay, now, I'd like you to make sure that you do what I'm doing here. When it comes to money, we always round to 2. So you're on the right track, just the rounding needs to be refined a little bit. Every time you're rounding for money, you have to round it to 2 decimal places. And that's why you're getting 92.47. So bear that in mind when you're doing any of these calculations. All money answers must be 2 decimal places. All right. So Liam, you're on the right track, but just the rounding is that needs a little bit of work. All right. All right, let's move on. Now, for this one, there's a different formula. It's something that we're calling the amount. So before, when we're calculating interest. All amount means, and we're going to see this when we have our next class on Thursday. All amount means is how much do I have in the bank, including the interest. So really what I'm saying is, on top of the amount, the principal I put in, what is the extra amount that I'm going to have with the interest on top of it? So this formula that you see me looking at here isn't going to just give me the interest alone. It's going to give me the interest plus the principal all in one. All right? So it's like I'm saying, let me go into the bank and see how much money they have for me. Well, they're going to have the money that I put in, plus they're going to have the interest that's on top of that. So it's the interest and the principal added up together. This is what we call amount. So that's what this definition says. Amount is the accumulative amount of both principal and interest in dollars. So we're going to try that formula now on this one here. My principal is 3,000, my rate is 6%, and my time is 2 years. So remember, I'm not using P times R times T. I'm going to use this formula here. It's P times 1 plus R times T. So here's what this is going to look. Well, first of all, what is the 6% going to look like as a decimal? Somebody help me out with that. I need the. Let me talk to Caitlin. Caitlin, tell me what's the 6% as a decimal?
0.06.
Perfect. Okay, so here we go. So that's what it's going to look like. It's different from the ones we just did because when I calculate this number now, I'm going to get the interest and the principal combined in one. So here's my 1 plus my 0.06, we just got that from Caitlin, multiplied by 2 because it's 2 years, and the principal is in the front. All right. So Amari, give me what that calculation works out to for you. Put that on your calculator. And remember, whatever rounding you're doing must be to 2 decimal places, unless it's like it's exactly the right number. So let me hear what you got.
I got 336. I mean 3,030. 3,336. 60.
In other words, the number that's on the screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's try this again. 1,500. So let me just go back and just remind you of something. This is not interest, right? This is the interest and the principal added together. So I started off with $3,000 and I added on $360. And that's why the total together of the two things combined is $3,360. So that's different from the calculations we were doing before where all I was calculating was the interest. This is interest and principal at the same time. All right. Okay, let's move on. Next question. So remember the formula. The formula on the previous page, we're going to use that formula again. So we're going to take the P, 1 plus the 7% times the 3, but this 3 is in months. So remind me now how I'm going to have to adjust that. See who's saying here. Help me out with that. How do I adjust that 3 again? What do I do with that 3 because it's in months?
Is it about 12 months?
Okay, so let's do this then. We're going to take the 1,500, 1 plus 0.07 times 3 over 12 because the time was in months. All right. Okay. So let me get Simran to work that out for us now. What is that working out to Simran? Give me the answer. Oh, I nearly showed you the answer. Hold on. I went too far there. Hold on. You know what? I'm going the wrong. Oh, geez. I'm going the wrong way here. Let me go back. All right. Sorry. Yes. Simran, give me what you got. I nearly revealed it to you, but I don't want to give it away. I need you to work it out. And I want 2 decimal places, by the way. Simran, you're there, right?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay. Okay. Everybody should be working it out for themselves. Let's not depend on Simran because you need to have the same number in your own calculator.
Wait, yes, sir.
All right, good.
1526.25.
That answer there?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Again, so let me ask the question. How much interest have I actually earned? How much of this is interest? This is not $1,526.25 worth of interest. How much is interest? Can anybody tell me how much of this is interest? How much did I put in? What's my principal amount? I put in how much money? What do you think, folks? Oh, geez, I'm doing this wrong here, folks. I'm messing this up completely. Okay. How much money did I put in this account initially? What did I start off with? Well, what's the principal?
Oh,
The principal is how much? Look at the question.
1,500.
Correct. So if I put in $1,500 or $1,500, and at the end of the time, the 3 months, I have $1,526.25. How much of this is interest? How much of this amount that I'm looking at here on the screen is interest? It's not all interest.
26, 125 only. That's
Exactly.
only.
Exactly. That's your interest right there. Okay, let's move on. Look at this question. $2,250 in principal. The rate
Wait,
is,
Mr. Kenlock,
yeah, go ahead.
can you go back?
Sure. Give me a second here. Whoa. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. How much was interest again?
The $26.25 was the interest.
Why not the whole thing though?
Because you put in, think of yourself, Mohammed, going to the bank and putting in $1,500. You put that in last week.
Okay.
You go back to the bank 3 months later, and they now have $1,526.25 there for you. Is
Okay.
all of that interest?
No.
No, because you put in $1,500. That was your money. That's what you started off with.
Yes.
How much of that is interest?
25.
No, well, the $26.25, because you put in, just take away $1,500 from this,
Okay.
and that will tell you how much interest you've earned. Does that make
now
sense?
Yeah.
All right, good. Let's move on. Next one. $2,250, $2,250. Terrell, make sure you're ready because I'm going to ask you this one. 8.5%. How do I convert 8.5% to a decimal? Give me a decimal number for 8.5%.
Let me put in my calculator.
I'm just trying to convert the 8.5 to a decimal so I can put that into the...
What would I divide 120 by?
Yeah, we'll get to that. But I just want to know what decimal I should put in for 8.5 because I want to turn that into a decimal.
Is it 0.85?
0.85? No, 0. No, you're missing
talking about?
0.085. There's a decimal point. What am I talking? Excuse me.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean.
Okay. So let's put this all into the formula now, right? The 120, how do we adjust that 120 now? What do you say to that?
365 days.
There you go. So here's my formula. It's the 2250, the 1 plus, we turn that into a decimal, 0.085, put the 120 over 365. So I need this to be calculated. All right, so who's going to do that for me now? Anybody? I'm not going to have to call. I don't have to call anybody in particular.
2,312.80.
There you go. Actually, 0.88, right?
That's
you have to
right.
make sure you're rounding it correctly. All right?
All right.
Everybody has got the same thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good. Okay, now, is everybody clear on that? We're going to move on to something a little different. There's a thing, you might hear some of these ads for, what is this cash place called again? No, cash.
Wait, quick thing. Can you go back for a second?
Yep.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to do is to calculate what's called a line of credit interest. It does follow a simple interest pattern. And I'm going to explain to you how this works. What a line of credit is, and you'll hear cash money. I think, what's the name of this place? They advertise all the while. One of these payday loan places. I think they're called Cash Money or so. I don't know what they're called, but you hear the ads all the time. And they offer what they call a line of credit rather than just a loan. And all a line of credit is an agreement that the bank has with you that says you're allowed to borrow from us up to a certain amount. Whatever the line is. The line, let's say the line was $10,000. I'm just using that as a number. That means that even though you don't have any money in the bank, you can borrow up to $10,000 from them at any point in time, but you need to keep putting back as much as you can. So I'll show you my statement, not my statement, I just made this up. This is a statement for a line of credit, which let's say on the 1st of May, 2017, 3 years ago, this person put in $1,878. So their balance is $1,878. 2nd of May, they put some more money in. So the balance has gone up. But then they needed to take some money out of the bank. They need to take out $6,000 out of the bank. Now notice that they don't have $6,000. They have $2,492. So they're going to have to borrow some of that money from the bank. The bank already says it's okay for you to borrow from us up to a certain amount. So this $2,492, we're going to take away $6,042 from that, which means that I know I'm in a negative situation, which is okay. because the bank has already said that it's okay for me to be negative. All right. That was on the 5th of May. On the 11th of May, so 6 days later, I got my pay and I went and put that in the bank because I know I owe them money. And the longer I owe them money is the more interest I'm going to pay, because that's how interest works. The amount of time is going to determine how much interest. So I know I owe them money. I run in with this amount of money. So now my bank balance is positive. Now when the bank balance is positive, I'm paying no interest on it. There's no interest when the bank balance is positive. But again, I needed some more money. So I went back in. I only had $171. I went and took out $1,606. So now I'm back in the negative again. I still needed more money. That was on the 18th of May. So I went and took out some more money. So I'm now deeper in the debt right here. Every time it's negative, it means I owe money. And then on the 23rd of May, I got some money. I put the money in the bank. So now I'm positive. When we're doing this interest calculation, the only time we have to calculate interest is when we owe money. So I don't owe any money at the start of the month. On the 2nd of May, I don't owe any money. On the 5th of May, I start owing money. That's when the interest clock starts to run. So we're going to calculate how much interest I'm going to have to pay them if I borrowed on the 5th of May, $3,550 until I paid it back on the 11th of May in full. So let's use that simple interest calculation for this. Simple interest calculation is I equals P times R times T. So what's the P in this case? What's the R and what's the, by the way, the interest rate here is 6.5%, just so you know. When it comes to a line of credit, there's always some interest rate associated with it. So what's the principal here? What's the rate? And what's the time? Can anybody suggest what those things would be for me to do my interest calculation? What's the principal? Let's start with the principal. What part of this is the principal? Anybody, before we get to the calculators, what's the principal? How much is the principal? Is it the 1878, the 2492, or the 3550, or the 171? Which of these would be the principal? Remember, I'm only being charged interest when I borrow money. Am I borrowing money here at 1878?
No.
No, not at 2492. Here's where I start borrowing. Sorry, go ahead.
I was asking, is it 3,500 one?
That's your principal right there. Because the minute I go over and I get into the red, when I get into the negative territory, I'm going to start charging me interest at a rate of 6.5%. Now, the next question is, how long did I borrow this $3,550 for? Is there anything in this statement that can help me to figure out how long I borrowed that money for? Can anybody tell me how long I borrowed that money for? Well, I borrowed it on the 5th of May. I paid it off on the 11th of May. So how long did I borrow the money for? Because I didn't owe them any more money on this 11th of May, right? So how long is that loan for of $3,550? What do you think? Liam, what do you think? How long did I borrow that money for?
The what 30 for the
13
what?
days.
Well, no, because between 5 and 11, how many days is it between 5 and 11? Just subtract them. How many days is that?
6.
Exactly. So here's my calculation. Watch the calculation I'm going to do to figure out the interest. I'm going to take the 3550. Here's the interest rate in the corner, 6.5. I turn that into a decimal, multiplied by 6, which is what Liam just said, and it's in days, so it's over 365. Okay? So work that. Simran, work that out for me, please. How much is that? So 3550, because that's the principal, 0.065 because that's the rate, 6%, not 6%, sorry, 6 days, as Liam just said, over 365, because that's the time. So just waiting for Simran to give us a number for that. And round back, Simran, give me to 2 decimal places, please.
I got 3.79.
Yeah.
So you're saying you got that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so do I owe money on the 11th of May? No, I don't. Do I owe money on the 18th of May?
Yes.
How much?
1,435.
Correct. That's my principal.
How much?
1435. This is the amount
Oh.
that I owed.
Okay.
How long did I owe 1435 for? Now look at the dates now to determine that. How many
7
days did I, pardon me?
7 days?
No, because from 18 to 21
Oh, 3 days.
is 3 days. So we're going to do the same calculation again. 1435 this time, same 6.5% as a decimal, but 3 days now over 365. Mohammed, work that out for me, please. Give me just 2 decimal places.
Okay. 0.77.
So that's the interest for that time. Now, I owed 1435 for 3 days, but then I went up and went to 2,800. So I owed even more money. So my principal now has gone up to 2877. For how long? How long did I owe that 2877 for? Anybody?
Are you starting that on the 18th?
No, you started on the 21st because that's when you first went to 2877. So the 21st is when you got to
So
2877
for 2 days then.
for 2 days. So here's a calculation. So 2877, the same 0.065 times 2 over 365. Tyrell, work that out first, please. Give us 2 decimal places on that.
All right. What is that going to be? Oh, so I got 1.02.
Okay. So at the end of, and by the way, you paid it off by the 2 days. In 2 days, you went and put money in the bank, so you know you don't owe any money anymore. So how much interest do you think this person is going to have to pay for this month, for the month of May? What do you think you'd do with all these numbers? Go ahead, Mohammed.
Add them.
That's right. That's exactly what we're going to do. So what is that total? When you put all of those totals together, how much interest does this person owe on their line of credit? Because this is exactly how it's worked. If your parents have a line of credit, you can borrow their statement and tell them that you can calculate how much that interest is if you know what the interest rate is. Only thing is that if interest rate changes, sometimes you have to take that into account. But if the interest rate was the same for the whole month, you can work out their line of credit interest. Anyway, so add up those 3 figures for me, please. And let's see now. Hussein, can you give me what that answer is, please? Total interest that this person has to pay. Unmute yourself and give me that number, please. Hussein, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, give me that number, please.
$5.58.
So you're saying that that's the amount of money that this person is going to have to pay for interest for the month of May. Based on how their spending was going, that's the amount of money they had to pay. And folks, that's it from me for today. Class is basically over. What I've done is I created a homework assignment, which you're going to find on Teacher Ease. Just like how when you're doing that test the other day, you can go in there and you can enter your answers. I don't need to see every single step. You can just enter your answers on the sheet and then submit it exactly the way you did on the test. And all of the calculations that we've just done are exactly what you need to do for this homework assignment. So try to get that done by the time we have our next class on Thursday for me, please. Okay? Everybody clear on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so the homework is there and I'm expecting to see it all turned in. I will send out a message to the rest of the class. I'm also going to post this video on YouTube and I will send you the link in an announcement. But that's it for today. Hopefully you guys learned something and we'll continue with our this unit on finance on Thursday, like I said. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to stop the sharing and we're going to just end the meeting. Unless there are any questions. Any questions from anybody?
Nope.
Okay, well, I'll leave it there then. Bye, folks.